Welcome to yet another Pitfire Day. And it's such a beautiful day today. We have sort of a heat wave. Now, it's Denmark, so it's not super hot like Southern Europe, but it's still 25, 28, maybe up to 30 degrees. And the sun is out and the sky is blue. And it's just such a perfect day to work outside with Pitfire. And as usual, I have a bunch of experiments that I want to try out today. So I hope that you're going to follow me on this event, and in the end of the video, we'll look at the final results of this firing. I hope it goes well. So today, one of the main experiments is to do porcelain. I've done it in the past, some of it successful, some of it not so much. But when it comes out great, it is amazing. Because with porcelain, you have this super white surface and you can make it very, very smooth and very, very nice. That's why we like to work in porcelain. But porcelain is also a little more sensitive to thermal shocks. And of course, I don't have any grog in it, so there's nothing to stabilize that brutal way of firing. Now, some potters will tell you it's impossible to pit fire porcelain. That's not true. I prove that over and over again on this channel. And to you, it is indeed possible. But there is some challenges. Porcelain is a little more sensitive than stoneware with a lot of grog in it. So that is a fact. So you need to consider that when firing it. One of the ways that you can reduce, in my experience, the risk of cracking your porcelain is to use a saggar. You can use a simple metal saggar like this. This is something that I picked up from a local flea market or something, paid almost nothing. This, I think, used to have cakes in it. Of course, this is not super solid. It's going to last a few fires, probably not that many, and then you can throw it out and buy a new cheap one. So that's going to work for you. You could also use a clay saggar or a better metal saggar, something else. Now, by putting the pots into the saggar, you would sort of protect it from the raw flames and the most dramatic thermal shocks. At least in my experience, when we use a saggar in combination with the porcelain, it doesn't crack. Or at least I had no cracks when using a saggar. When I put it directly into the kiln without protecting it like this, I do have a higher percentage of cracking than I do with the grogged stoneware. But some of it survived and it turns out beautiful, so you can try both. And I'm going to do both today. Now, the other interesting experiment that I'm going to do now is sort of a crazy thing, because I'm going to do a 4-fire pot. Now, what do I mean by that? So basically, what I'm trying to do here is I will take porcelain and then I will glaze it on the inside and on the top. And then I will apply the pit fire to the lower part of the outside. So the pot will be completely water safe and food-proof for that matter, because it's glazed inside and outside at the top. Now, that is the third fire. So I already made a few pots like that. For example, this one. Now, if you take a look at this, I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it's glazed on the inside and it's glazed on the top of the outside, but the lower part is not glazed. I applied terra to that to get that shine, that natural shine. So I have already been fired 2 times, a bisque fire and a glaze fire. Now, the third fire is today. We're going to do the pit fire. So I'm going to apply some colorant to the lower part. And for this one, I'm going to use a ferric chloride. It's a very strong colorant. And I'm going to wrap some stuff around it. And I'm going to put it into the metal saggar. And we're going to fire it. Now, the fourth fire, and that's why I glazed it outside on the top, I'm going to apply a gold lustre. So will that work? Well, there are 2 challenges here. The first challenge is because it has been glaze fired. It has been fired to a higher temperature, so the clay have been vitrified, so the pores have almost been closed. Now again, some potters will tell you it's not possible to pit fire an already glaze fired pot because the colors won't absorb into the clay. That's not true. I tried that before And it is indeed possible, but you need to use very strong colorants to do it. So I'm going to use some ferric chloride because it is a very strong colorant, and I'm pretty sure it's going to leave some interesting mark. Also going to wrap some steel wool, and I'm going to put it into the metal saggar with some other combustibles. I'm pretty sure that's going to work. Now, the fourth fire is the gold lustre fire. Now, the second part of the challenge is that when you put your pit-fired pots into, I'm going to use an electric kiln, and you heat it up. If you heat it up too much, all those wonderful colors from the pit fire is going to get lost. And that is the challenge of going the other way around. So if you, let's say you didn't glaze fire it first, you pit fired it, and then you put glaze on, then it's going to go up to a very high temperature, and that is very likely going to burn off most of your beautiful pit fired colors. But the gold lustre fire is only to 720 degrees Celsius in my case, and I'm pretty sure that's not gonna fire off those beautiful pit-fired colors, but we will see. The first step today is to make sure that these pots survive and they get some beautiful colors from the pit fire. I also prepared two other porcelain pots, but here I applied a colored tercicolata, in this case a body stain, a very light blue, turquoise kind of, and this is a cobalt carbonate colored tercicolata. So they have this shiny surface, but they're colored, and this gives me some other options with the coloring. So for these ones, I'm not going to use ferric chloride, of course. I want to keep this blue color, but I'm going to wrap some steel wool and put some combustibles and put them into the metal saggar. So let's move on with that. I buy ferric chloride already dissolved in water. This is a 40% dissolved. You can also dissolve it further with water down to 10%. It will still leave some good marks, but I keep it at 40%. It's very inexpensive and it lasts a long time. So this I'm going to apply over this pot, the outside of the pot. Now, this is corrosive, and you should definitely not get it in your eyes. You should not put it in your mouth, and you should avoid getting it on your hands. Now, the hands are not gonna, completely get destroyed from this, but it's not good for your skin. So I'm gonna use some rubber gloves to protect myself. I'm gonna keep these glasses on, and you need clothing that you're not too fond of, because if you stain this on anything, plastic, metal, clothing, it's gonna stay there forever. It's never gonna go away. So I put on an old trashy t-shirt and this work clothes. So even if I stain a little bit on myself, it won't be so bad. Also, I'm using a separate table for this because it stains a lot. It's very messy. So I have a separate table that is only for that. So let's go and apply this. So as you can see, this table had been used before for ferric chloride. When I first started using it, I was thinking this is plastic, so I can just wipe it off because, I mean, of course, it won't absorb into the plastic, but it does. Trust me, it does. So I couldn't wipe it off. And since it was an old trashy table anyway, I decided this is going to be my ferric chloride table. So I'm going to use it for that. Now I'm just going to pour it over. And I'm trying not to put it up here where I have the glaze. It doesn't matter so much because it won't absorb into the pot where the glaze is already. So I think I can just wipe it off there. So I'm just gonna pour it over. And as you can see, it kind of runs off a little bit. So it doesn't absorb into the clay the same way that it would if it wasn't vitrified, it wasn't fired to that high temperature. So you're going to add a few more layers, but it will eventually get in there. So now I'm just going to let it dry a little bit. That's going to take a little bit more time because, again, it's not absorbing, but we have a beautiful sunny day, so it will eventually dry. And as you can see already now, it did attach. If you can see even where there's not any drips, you can see the difference between up here, where there's glaze, where it doesn't attach, and down here, there's a difference. It does absorb a little bit. So the whole theory that it doesn't absorb at all is just not true. It does, but it's just not as much and it goes a little bit slower. So we're going to let this dry and then we're going to give it another layer and maybe 2 or 3 more layers. Now, as the first pot with the ferric chloride is drying before I put the next layers on, I can work on these colored pots. And I have these 2 ones that I want to put into this saggar. And I want to wrap something around them. I'm going to use some steel wool. This is one of my favorites. Now, if you take this, let me just show you here. If you take the steel wool and sort of move it apart, it becomes almost like a spider web. And it will create these beautiful lines. Often it will just be black, but if you have the right atmosphere in there, if you get a good oxygen reduced atmosphere, it can even turn red. So you get these red or yellowish lines. But see, if you expand it like this, it becomes very thin. If you keep it very tight together, it will just be a big black spot, which can also be beautiful, but I like to have it more like this sort of a spider web and wrap it around the pot. So we're going to take it like this, and such an easy material to work with. Something like this. This is going to leave, hopefully, some beautiful marks. I'm also going to use some copper wire. It's always a little bit tricky because attaching the wire to a round shiny surface like this can be really difficult. But I'll start out by trying to attach it here to the top and then just hope. I'm going to move this around. Just move it around like this. And as you see, it is sort of tricky to have it tight around the pot. And the tighter you can get it, the better. I'm just going to see if I can somehow attach it. It's easier if I take it to the table. I just want to show you the challenge. So I got it. But don't touch it too much because it's easy to fall off. So I'm just going to put this in the metal saggar. I'm going to do much of the same with the other one, the lighter blue pot. So this is, as I said, one of my favorite way to create these structured patterns around a pot like this. Got a little bit too thick here. Just want to stretch it out so we get these really fine lines. So for this one, I'm not going to use any steel or any copper wire. Just going to leave this here. And now on the inside, we have glaze. So it will stay white. We won't get anything to attach there. In case it was not glazed, then I would put some combustibles inside to make it dark there. But we won't in this case. So now we can wrap some other combustibles around this. I got some corn leaf and I got some banana peels. They always leave very good colors, but they're not very strong colors. So I'm just hoping that it will actually produce something here. I also have some seaweed that is really good. It does tend to be on the darker side, but if we're lucky, it will be some purplish colors as well. And then finally, I'm going to add some nuts. These nuts usually create really good colors. So now it's more or less full. I think I'm just going to add a little bit of hay at the top just to make sure that there's something to ignite the fuming in there. So that's it. So I'm going to put the lid on and yeah, let me see if I can put it all inside so it will fit. Oh, by the way, I forgot one thing. I want to add a bit of salt. Not too much, just a little bit of salt. No, this is actually, sorry, this is copper sulfate. And here we have a little bit of the copper carbonate. Now we're ready to close it up. So now we can put this in the kiln. So now you can see that it's not completely dry, but it did attach itself to the pot. So I'm going to add a little bit more. Well, and then I'll let it dry again, and I'll add some more. By the end of the day, I think we will have something good. So now I'm going to do some of the remaining porcelain pots, and a few, I think I have this one and this one, which is actually stoneware. This is the brown stoneware that I like a lot. And this is the Ashraf Hanna stoneware, very high grocked stoneware that can sustain almost anything. And this one too. These ones I'm going to give some ferric chloride too, but these ones I'm just going to wrap up in tinfoil as I usually do with some combustibles. So for this one, I'm also going to use a little bit of the steel wool. It's a lot easier when you wrap it up in tinfoil because you can sort of wrap it into the tinfoil. So I'm going to place this here. I'm also going to add a few hair. This is from, I think it's from a horse. It's very tied together here, so it's a little bit difficult, but just going to add a few strands of it. Because that is also combustible, that is also have carbon in it, and it will leave marks on the pot, if we're lucky. I hope so. And of course, as always, I'm going to add some banana peels. I really, really love banana peels. And I also have some corn leaf, which also is one of my favorites. So I'm going to leave all this here. Then I'm going to use some of the copper carbonate. And if you want some of the copper carbonate to stick to your pot, it can be really tricky because, I mean, it's going to glide off. But one thing you can do is to use a glue because then it will glue onto it and the glue is going to burn away. So if we spray a little bit of glue on it, like that, then we take, oh, it fell off. Copper carbonate, you got to do it fast. Then you can see it sticks to it, of course. So that's a good way to do that. Gonna put it here, and I think we're good. So gonna wrap this. No, sorry, one thing I forgot. I want to have some thing inside that hopefully will create a more dark inside. We can use some hay, or you can use paper. We're gonna try with some hay. Like that. Maybe a little bit of paper too. Now we can wrap it up. And I want to make sure that I get it all the way around the pot. And as always, I don't try to make it stick very evenly around. I like to have a little holes, little areas where the air can be trapped, and hopefully create an oxygen reduced atmosphere in part of it. So I'm not looking for it to be even. I'm just going to add another layer just to secure it. So now we have the first pot ready for the kiln. Now we're going to do another one. And this is much easier to do when it's not so windy. It's actually okay today, but I've sometimes done it where it's very windy, and this is so light that it flies around. It's very difficult. So this is another one of the... Actually, I think this one also needs ferric chloride. So I forgot about that. But these ones definitely don't, because they have this blue color, and of course I wanna maintain that. So again, I'm gonna start out with a thin layer of the steel wool here. I'm gonna add this, and I'm gonna add some of the corn leaf. And for this one, I'm also gonna add a little bit of the seaweed. And we'll add some more. We'll add some more papers to the inside on this one. Like that. And also a little bit of this horsehair. It's very greasy, so it's a little bit difficult to take apart, but yeah, something like this. I'm going to use some cobalt soft. Oh, because we want to emphasize that cobalt color. And I'm going to add a couple of these oranges, dried oranges. They will leave very dark marks. But again, it's a strong colorant, and we want strong colorants for this. Also going to add a little bit of the nuts. And I think that's it. So I'm trying to get it, again, all the way around the pot, like this. And the first layer was good. So that's it. That's the second pot. Let's do another one. I'm going to try with a lot of this and not the steel wool, and see if we can see any difference. So something like that. Again, gonna add some. I think maybe this one would look good for that. And again, gonna add some paper to the inside. Hopefully, it will burn away, and we will get beautiful dark inside. I'm not sure about that, but we can always make more dark inside later. So there we go. Add some banana peels. I'm not sure about the banana peels and this porcelain because it is maybe it won't absorb, but we'll try. We have some more corn here and some of the nuts. And again, I'm gonna add some cobalt sulfate. And for this, I'm gonna spray on one side just to make sure that it attaches. So that's it. And try and wrap it around as much as I can. Sometimes you won't really get it perfect in the first wrap because if you push too much, then it will just stick out all these little pieces of loop and knots and whatever it is. So I put this light layer on it, and then let me see. Take the next one and wrap it a little bit tighter. Oh, see here where it broke through. I'm gonna repair that. Actually gonna put double layer on that. So that's it. The tinfoil will evaporate, it will burn away in the pit fire. When it reaches about 700 degrees, it will just completely it will burn away and come like missile ashes. So I'm gonna take this and put it next to the kiln. Let's make the last two ones that are not going to have any of the ferric or any of the other fluid. Let's try and make one more with this hair. It's always good to make a couple of variations of your test because, well, maybe it fails for whatever reason on one of them, and then on the other one it turns out really beautiful. You can go back and see what you did differently. So lots of hair. Let's take this one and I'm gonna take a little bit of the seaweed. And again, some paper on the inside. A little bit of hay. Gonna add some of the nuts. And we're definitely gonna spray a little bit here and add some of the cobalt sulfate. And here I'm also gonna add a couple of banana leaves. And then I'm gonna try and see if we can wrap all this in. Yep, like that. So here we go. Nice little cartoon. Now for this last one, I definitely want to use some steel wool. And also, I want to turn this black inside. Hopefully, I will manage to do that. But I'll put some newspaper in there and mix it up with some hay. I basically just want to create a lot of smoke in there. And that smoke should attach to the pots inside and create a beautiful dark surface. That at least is my intention. So let's see how that goes. And then I'm going to try and extend some of this steel wool as much as possible. I think something like that should be good. I may want to add a little bit more on this surface here. There's a little bit of wind. It's not too much, but still there. We're gonna take some of this. So, like that. Gonna put a lot of the corn leaves here, because this, I know, usually gives very good colors. And again, I'm gonna spray a little bit here and put some of the copper sulfate here. And here I'm also gonna use a couple of the oranges, the dried oranges. And I have this from a friend. It's cow manure, cow shit. It's really good. Don't worry, I'm gonna wash my hands afterwards, but it's dried, so it should be okay. But that can leave some really, really interesting colors. So gonna try with that. And then I'm also gonna use a little bit of iron sulfate in a powdered form. So that's it, and I probably should have used a bigger piece of tin foil, but will be the first layer, so it's okay. I definitely need more. Now this clay, the brown clay, have a lot of grog, and it's super, super strong. I did have one pot crack recently. It was a very big one, and I actually made it too thick at the bottom. And I think that was the primary reason that it caught oil, because usually I can get away with just about anything with this kind of clay. So now we made all the pots that are not going to have ferric chloride on, or some of the other colorants. I do want to use some of the cobalt. This is a cobalt sulfate that is dissolved in water. Can give very good blues. It's a little bit difficult because it needs a high temperature. I may also use some of the cobalt carbonate. It's easier, doesn't need such a high temperature. Or the copper sulfate, which is really nice. It doesn't need a very high temperature. So I'm gonna sprinkle some of that on these remaining pots. Now I have given it a few layers. I don't think I'm gonna get any more to attach to it. So I'm just gonna wipe off what is on the top and something that's built on the inside. I think, yeah, well, some of that is actually sticking. It's funny enough. I wasn't expecting that, but that's okay, because we're gonna add some gold to that anyway. And maybe it will burn off. I don't know. Maybe it will leave a little bit of a yellowish color even here on the glazed part. I wasn't expecting that, but then again, I told you in the beginning that this substance tend to glue onto anything. So we'll see. Now sort of even it out. I will have gold there anyway on top, so I don't know what's going to happen to that, but we'll see. It's an experiment. So I'm just going to leave it here and dry. Now, it is corrosive, and I have experienced when you put it close to metal, like wrap it up in a tin foil when it's still wet, it can actually self-ignite. Now, it doesn't burst into wild flames, but can actually produce a lot of heat. In one occasion, a workshop I had, suddenly some of the students were like, "Oh, it's smoking!" and it was actually getting pretty warm and smoky. So I will let it dry as much as possible before I put it into the metal saggar. So now it's time to do the other parts that have not been glazed and that I'm going to wrap into the tin foil. So these should be a lot easier to apply the ferric chloride to because again, these other parts, because they haven't been glaze fired, they haven't been raised to the same high temperature, so the clay haven't been vitified as much at least. So it should be a little more porous, easy to get the ferric chloride to absorb into the pot. But let's try to do that. So here's one that have been applied with the terra but have not been glazed. So it's definitely should be a lot more porous. So let's see how it reacts. Yeah, you can see it's very different. I'm actually going to put something inside as well. And just going to pull it out again, of course. And oh yeah. So this is going to be a pretty thick layer of ferric chloride. And I think I'm not going to do any more with that. I'm pretty much going to do the same thing to this one. And also a bit on the inside. So you can see the difference here. This absorbs into the pot. So it doesn't just run off because it hasn't been glaze fired. So the clay is a lot more porous. Now I just want to pull some of it back into the bottle. So because we poured it all out into this basket. So just be careful when you do this, not splash it all over. So these two ones, they haven't been applied with the same kind of terra. I burnished them instead. So they are even more absorbent. So it should be even more easy to get this to attach here. Yeah. I'll also put it here. And on the inside, so again, you see, this absorbs perfectly into the pot. And this one too, I think I'm actually going to do the inside first. It's going to be a little easier to swirl it around. And then the outside. That's it for the ferric chloride. So I'm just gonna pour the remains back into the bottle. And that's it. Now we're ready to do the last part of the wrapping. And let's go and do that. Now, I forgot one thing, and that is that I promised you that I would also use some of the cobalt sulfate and maybe some of the copper sulfate. But I will just add some of it on top of this. So basically, I'm just going to take a brush this time. Just going to brush some strokes of this on top of the ferric chloride. I don't think I'm going to do it on all of them, so not that one, but this one definitely too. So just these two. As you can see, it kind of wiped off a little bit of the ferric chloride. There's still going to be some left. And this cobalt sulfate is going to attach to the pot also. So let's see how that turns out. It usually takes a few more layers of the cobalt sulfate to get enough of the substance on the pot. But it dries very quickly here in the sun. So just gonna leave it like that. I'm just gonna let it dry a little bit, then add maybe a layer or two more. And that's it for now. So now these two pots have dried. The ferric chloride is, you can touch it now, it's completely absorbed into the pot, and it won't ignite my tin foil when I wrap that around it. Hopefully not. So again, gonna start with this tin foil, and gonna use some of the steel wool and just expand that. As thin as possible. That's how I like it anyway. Like that. Gonna add some of the corn leaves. They're always good. And we're gonna add some more of the cow manure. The cow shit. I love that. I don't have any cows around me, so I got this from a friend. I used to have chicken just behind me here, and I used some of this chicken manure, and that was very good too. And all this manure have, of course, a lot of organic materials into it, and the colors you get from it very much depend on what the animal have been eating, and of course, the kind of animal. So I can't really predict that for you, but it usually turns out really interesting. So we're gonna spray again here, just to get some of the copper carbonate to stick to it. And then I'm also gonna add a little bit of the nuts and some newspaper inside the pot. If we could get it in now, hope so. Maybe I need to wrap it a little bit thinner. Yeah, that's better. Like that. Push it in there. Yeah, I don't think we can get much more in. Maybe I can wrap a little bit around the top here. And maybe if I'm lucky, they'll create a dark top. We'll see. that was it. And now this one. And for this, I'm going to use some of that horsehair. This is a different portion of hair, but still from a horse and still hair. It's still organic. It still burns and leaves marks. Hopefully some beautiful ones. We're just going to spread it out like this. I'm going to put the pot there. And again, some corn leaves. It's always good with the corn leaves. It's always good with the banana peel. We're going to add that. And again, this is not a glazed pot, so it should be much more absorbent to the colorants. And a little bit of the seaweed. Now, I'm a little more careful with the seaweed. First of all, because it can turn very dark, very blackish. And also because sometimes there's a lot of salt in it, and the salt can make these little crusty things on the surface that we don't like too much. So I'm going to add some of the copper carbonate. And I think that's it for now. Oh, I forgot to put something inside. So I'm just going to do that. Try and see if we can get it dark inside. It doesn't always succeed, but then I do have a video about how to turn the inside dark if it didn't. So you can revert to that. I'm just going to wrap the top also with paper. Maybe it will help create a dark top. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But let's try and wrap it up. Yeah. I think I'm gonna put one more piece like this. And I know that I mentioned this before, but people always ask me about it. This kind of tinfoil, of course, is not the standard one you get for a kitchen. I pick it up in a professional kitchen store. There's one in Denmark called Inco. But wherever you go, maybe Costco have it in the US, or maybe other like professional kitchen stores have it. It's a little bigger, so it's a little more sturdy. And of course, it comes in these big rolls so you don't run out too quickly. I like that very much. In case you can't get it, you can also just use normal kitchen tin foil. It's just more convenient for this, I think. So that was the last two cocoons. We have the box with the two glaze pots, and we have one more that I'm going to put into the last saggar. So now I'm ready to put the last pot, the glazed white pot with the ferric chloride. It's not completely dry. It probably won't completely dry. And so I'm just going to put it in there. I'm going to put it aside somewhere where if it does get warm, if it catch flames, then it won't hurt anything. So I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to put some combustibles around it, and then we're going to hope for the best. So let me just take here some horsehair, because now that it's still wet, I can maybe get the horsehair to actually attach to it. Yeah, just like that. That'll be fine. Take a few more. Yeah, you see, they almost glue to the surface because it's still a little bit wet. So something like that. I'm going to put it in here. That should be good. So on top of this, I'm definitely going to add some of the cow manure. And I'm going to add a little bit of the seaweed. And I also have these nut shells. I'm going to add some of that. And some of the other nuts here. for the fun of it, a little bit of hay. That will create some smoke, but I think it's good for this one. And make a little more seed. And I'm going to add some of the copper carbonate. Oh. A little bit of the ferric. Maybe a bit more of the nuts here. It's fun. And just gonna add a little bit of sawdust. It's gonna give it some smoke. I think that's good. So close it off. And now we're ready to pack the kiln. I'm going to pack the kiln now. I'm going to add layers of the pots combined with layers of wood and leaves and whatever can burn and create some interesting fumes to these pots. Now, I did mention in the beginning the issue with smoke. I have some wonderful neighbors, and right now they're in their garden playing with a little kid, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't like if I created a lot of smoke. Now, as I mentioned in the past, you can actually pit fire with very little smoke, almost no smoke, and that is if you only use high quality dried wood. But in this case, I also put some other stuff in there that will probably create some smoke. Maybe not a lot, but enough to disturb my neighbors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack the whole kiln with all the things that I'm going to want in it. And then I'm going to wait until after dawn. So it's going to be like midnight or something when I'm sure everybody is inside and I won't disturb the neighbors, even if there's a little bit of smoke. That is a responsible way of doing it. On top of my grill in the bottom of my Pitfire oil drum, I put a layer of old Christmas tree. It's just a soft layer that will help the pots better survive. And also, it will create some smoke. And in between that, I'm going to put some wood because, of course, these leaves are not going to give us a lot of fire, but it will ignite some wood. We're going to put some hardwood in there. The hardwood will burn a longer time, but we won't ignite as easy. So we also need some pine wood for that initial ignition. And some smaller pieces in between will be really good. And we're going to use some of this leftover half-rotten wood. It's very porous and it will probably ignite very easily. So that was the first layer. Now I'm going to put one of the saggars here, one of the metal saggars. I think maybe I can add both of them. Yeah. I think like that. I'm going to put lots of wood around them to make sure that they get plenty of heat in. And don't worry, if you can't add enough wood to begin with, you can easily add more wood as it goes. I'll show you that during the night fire. some more pots. And a bit more of that rotten wood. And you only have a few more pots left, so let's see if we can fit it. Yeah, and there we go. Now we're just gonna top it off with some more wood. So that's it. Now we're ready to fire. But as I said, I'm not gonna start it now. I'm gonna wait until the sun have gone down and everybody gone inside, and there's no risk of disturbing my wonderful neighbors. So see you later. Now it's dark. It's almost midnight. I had my dinner, watched a movie, and I'm ready to light the fire. My neighbors have gone inside, and I think it's not going to disturb them now with the fire. And besides, this fire actually is not going to be super smoky. There will be a little bit of smoke, but it's not a smoke fire as such. So I'm ready to go ahead. I added a little bit of these starters. You also use them in a fireplace inside. I dumped some of them inside the barrel. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of alcohol, pure alcohol. It's just to make it easier to start. I'm not gonna put a whole lot because I don't want like an explosive fire. Remember, it is porcelain, so it is a little more fragile. So I'm trying to get like a slow and easy fire. So let's see if it works. It does. So now we're ready and just gonna let it fire slowly, and hopefully it will all go well. It's nice and warm. It's been a very warm day, so this is just getting warmer. And as you can see here, it's actually not smoking at all. It's just a very quiet fire. So it's just gonna slowly burn down through the barrel and hopefully gonna reach the bottom within the next hour or two. And then I'm gonna let it slowly die out into embers, and then I will put the lid on in the end and just let it ease out over the night into the morning, and then tomorrow, maybe at noon or something, it should be ready to unload. And as you can see from up here, it's almost no smoke. It's just pure flames. It's a good example of how little smoke you can produce with pit fire. And in fact, I could have fired this in the middle of the day and wouldn't probably have disturbed anyone. This is, in fact, a very good fire. First of all, it's not very smoky, but also it's going very slow. It's got a good grip of the whole barrel and it's slowly working its way down through the barrel. That's exactly what I want. I don't want the fire to be too rapid. Of course, with a fire, it can be difficult to control, but it's a matter of the kind of wood that you're using and how you're stacking it and how much pine wood or leaves or small little branches you put in there, because that's going to catch fire much faster. I deliberately put a lot more hardwood and real pieces of wood in there, and it's just going to burn a little bit slower. So, so far it looks perfect, but it is very early in the fire. Now the fire has been burning for about an hour or so, and you can see that it already dropped down a lot. That's what happens when you fire it, because we have these layers of pots and wood. And of course the pots, it's going to take the space they take, but the wood is going to burn away and then it's going to fall down on each other. So in order to maintain a good fire and get the fire all the way down, I will be adding more wood for at least another hour or so. It's got a very nice heat right now, so I'm just going to add some more hardwood because it's going to burn slower and longer. I'm also going to add some of this half-rotten wood. It's going to burn a little bit faster, but it's still going to be good. Another good sign of a good fire is that I can already now see that there's fire at the bottom of the barrel. That's a very good sign. That means that the fire have traveled all the way down through the barrel, down to the lower levels. That is pretty fast. And that means that I'm getting a very consistent heat throughout the oil drum. That is good. Now the fire have been going on for, I don't know, 2, almost 3 hours. And I've been adding wood as we go along for all that time. And now it have fallen down about a third of the space of the full kiln load. So now I'm not going to add any more wood to it. I think it's burned all the way down and it's actually quite hot down there. And how do I know that? That's because I'm using this thermometer. It's a laser or an infrared thermometer. So I can point it like that. And then I can measure the temperature on a specific point. So if we take it in there, it's almost 700 degrees inside. And if we take it down here at the bottom, it's 500 degrees, which is actually a lot. Usually it won't get that warm when I measure on the outside. Remember that it's on the outside at the bottom. So in the embers in there, it's probably closer to 700 or 800 degrees. That's really good that the heat have traveled all the way down like that. And it's been like that for at least the past 45 minutes. So there's no need to add any more wood now. So I'm just going to let it burn out slowly. It's probably going to take another hour or 1.5 hours. And then I'm going to put on the lid and just let it slowly die out. I'm just going to start out by putting on the lid almost. So it's still going to be a little bit of a crack to get some air in. And then by the end, I'm going to close it completely. They'll still be able to get some air in through the holes, but it will be much less air. And that will hopefully create an oxygen reduced, sort of an oxygen reduced atmosphere in there, because that's going to help develop some of the colors. Like I talked about, the iron can sometimes turn red if there's not enough oxygen. So we'll see how that goes. You can also see that the tinfoil have burned away on some of the pots here, which is a very good sign, because that means that it have got a consistent heat of over 700 degrees, because that's when the tinfoil sort of disappears. So that's very good. And now we're getting just the raw flames to the pots. And from what I can see, they look like they survived so far. Good morning. It's still a good day. It's still warm. It's wonderful, very unusual for Denmark. I had a good night's sleep. I think I went to bed about 3 in the morning, 3:30. That's a downside of doing night fire. But now I'm fresh again, got my coffee, and I'm looking so much forward to see the results of our porcelain pitfire. So let's go and take a look. Before you open a pitfire kiln like this, make sure that it's cold enough. You want it to be really cold, because if you take it out, if you open up when it's still hot, there's a risk that you will crack the pot at this stage. That's terrible, because if you have a successful fire and everything survived, you don't want to destroy it now. But this one feels cold on the outside, so there's no problem in removing the lid. And also be careful that you don't dump anything in there, because now the pots are just there. There's no protection from the wood or anything. So if you dump something, you could ruin a pot. And again, we don't want to do that now. Ah, it looks really good. Do you want to take a look? Yeah, look at this. Of course, at this stage, it looks very dusty and black, some of it. But what I'm looking for here is that they fall on each other in a good way. Did some of it look like it cracked? And right now, it doesn't look like it's cracked. And did some colors develop and some patterns and stuff? And all in all, this is looking really good. Now, when you take out the pots, you still have to be careful, because even though this is completely cold, there could be hiding, embers in there or something. So I usually wear gloves when I take this out. It's also very dirty. So unless you want to get dirty, then it's nice to just remove it with some gloves. And also, whenever you remove a pot, be very careful, because you can see they're still stacked on each other. So you remove one pot, maybe another pot is going to fall down on it, and you could potentially, again, destroy it at this stage, which is terrible. So be careful when you unload the kiln. So let's go ahead and look at each of these pots. So this is the first one, and I think this is the one of the ones where we put the ferric chloride on, and we got some great patterns here. Of course, some of it is hiding beneath these ashes and stuff that we need to remove, but at least it looks like it's in one piece, and there's no cracks in it as far as I can see. So that's a very good first sign. This one also looks great. I'm gonna take this glove off, and I don't know if you can hear it, but that's the sound of a pot that's not cracked. But look, some of these flashes here, they're really beautiful. This is exactly what we're looking for in Pitfire. And this is the one in stoneware, my one of my favorite stonewares, where I applied a layer of the blue colored Terra Sigillata. There's not that much going on, but it does look okay, I think. So I'm not disappointed, but I was hoping for a little more pattern. Now, you can always refire it if you want some more action, and I may do that with this. Now, this looks really, really good. And also, yeah, now you can't hear it because I have gloves on, but there's a little bit of a very small crack here. That's not so good. You can see there seems to be a very small crack here. I'm not sure if it goes all the way through or if I can seal it so it can still be used as a vase, but it's almost invisible, so it will still be a good decorative piece. Now this, this looks really, really good. This is with the light blue Terra Sigillata, And the color here, it got a lot of the red, and I suspect it must be because it had been close to other pots with ferric chloride, because I didn't put any ferric chloride on it. Or maybe it's the steel wool that got these red flashes because of the oxygen reduction. But this definitely look really, really good. So that's going to be awesome when I get it polished. And now, maybe the most exciting part, the tinfoil saggar. Because we want to see if it's survived, if it's cracked or not, and if we got any coloring at all. So let's go ahead and see if I can open this. It's sort of fused into itself. Oh, there we go. Now this looks very interesting. See, there's a lot of dust on the sides here, and some of that we will remove. And underneath there will be some coloration, but you can see already now that there's something hiding in there that looks interesting. Now we did get some sod on the glazed part, and funny enough, also on the inside. I think a lot of that will be brushed off when we clean it. Yeah, you can see already now. Maybe you can't see it, but when I brush the glazed part, it sort of goes off easily because it's not really soaked into the pot. But this part, I think when we clean this, and it does need a bit of cleaning, then I think it's going to look interesting underneath. Look at this. So and doesn't appear to be any cracks in this. So survived. So far, so good. And here's the other saggar with the 2 pots in there. And let's see if it's possible to remove this. Oh yeah. Got sort of the same picture here. Initially, they look very black, but underneath there's some nice patterns, and I'm very happy with this. And again, it's difficult to hear with my gloves on, but I can't see any visible cracks. So, but look at this. When we get this polished and cleaned up, I think it's going to look really, really good. And again, there's some sod on the glazed part up here at the top, but I think when we clean that, you can see it rubs off really easy, and that's where we're going to get the gold in the end. So I'm very happy with this. And it's the same thing with the other one. This is almost looks like platinum or something, very shiny. You see here? Here for this, I'm actually almost hoping that I won't brush off the black, because this is a very beautiful black piece. So let's see if we can maintain that. It's a question of how well it's stuck to the pot, but definitely looks good, and still have some sod at the top here, but it doesn't matter as long as we can clean it so that we get down to the glaze. Then we can add the gold, and it'll be beautiful. Funny enough, it still have some sod on the inside, but again, I think we can wash some of that off. But this is definitely really, really beautiful. So the first porcelain pots, there was one with a little crack, but most of them don't have any. So that's very good outcome. You always can get cracks even with stoveware now and then. So here's another one of the small vases with the blue, light blue tertiary ladder, which also looks very, very good. And another one here with the light blue that also looks good. It's that's very beautiful. But again, I got a lot of red, and I didn't put any ferric chloride on this. So it can either be the iron from the steel wool that turned red because we got a good oxygen-reduced atmosphere, or it can be because it was close to a pot with ferric chloride. I'm not sure why, but I really, really like it. Look at this. I mean, this is exactly what we're looking for with Pitfire. All these wonderful colors. I don't know if this is a cup or if it's a small vase, but it was just done for the experiment. So I like that too. So here's another one of the stoneware pots. I think this was made with the Ashraf henna, and not surprisingly, turns out really beautiful. Very nice flashes of colors, and of course a layer of the ferric chloride with, in this case, it turned almost pink, which is a little bit unusual, but very, very nice. And the last one, this is also with the Ashraf henna clay, and again, turns out really nice. They do, of course, all of them now look a little bit matte, a little bit dusty, and not at all finished. So what I will do now is I will go in and I will clean them, I will brush them, maybe use a little bit of steel wool if there's some crust on the surface, uh, sort of grind it off, but be very careful not to take too much off. And then for the ones that are finished now, I will add a layer of sealant on the outside, probably one of the waxes that I'm using. Could also be an acrylic spray, depends a little bit on what I want to do. But for the three ones here that I wanted to use for gold lustre, that I want to add a fourth fire to, I'm not going to add any wax or any acrylic spray or anything because that's going to burn away in the next fire. So I'm just not going to add that before the final stage. So these ones I'm just going to clean, and then we're going to add the gold luster to the top and fire it. I'll not waste your time with all the cleaning and adding the sealant and so. I'll show you the final pots inside, but I'll move on with this gold luster now and do that fire. Now that I cleaned the pots and they're dry, it's time for the last step, the fourth fire, the gold fire. So to do that, first I need to make sure that where I'm going to apply the gold, in this case it's just up here at the top, needs to be completely clean. Now I already scrubbed it with water and stuff, but because I've touched it with my hands, there might be some greasy spots. Can't even see it, but we need to make sure that there's no grease, no finger marks, nothing. Because this foil is like a super, super thin layer. And if there's anything, any grease, any finger marks, anything, it'll show. So we want to clean it. And to do that, I'm just going to use this alcohol, also used in the kitchen to clean stuff. And basically just to make sure that there's no grease, no dirt, no dust, no nothing, except for very clean surface. So that's it. Only takes a few seconds. Now for this one, as we talked about, it's a little funny that I wouldn't have expected the sub to attach into the part where there's glaze. I scrubbed it and scrubbed it. I even used some steel wool, so I'm pretty sure there's no loose parts here, but this is what we're left with. It could affect how the gold looks. It could be a little bit darker where the surface is darker, but that's what we have, and that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to clean this too. Now, after you clean it, of course, make sure you don't touch that area with your fingers. And the last one that I think turned out really beautiful is almost, yeah, well, like a metal or something. It's I really like it. It did turn out darker than I expected, but sometimes it's just not what you expected, but still beautiful. So now they're all clean. And of course, this alcohol evaporates very, very quickly. So as soon as it's dry, we're ready to apply the gold. The gold that I'm using is, in fact, real gold. So it is 24 karat gold that is dissolved in a substance and sort of colored with this dark red color. So it's easy to see when you apply it. It looks awful when you apply it. It doesn't look like gold at all. But then I fired up to 720 degrees, in my case, with this kind of gold, and then it will melt out and produce this beautiful gold surface. Hopefully, that's usually what happens. Now, of course, you know, gold is not cheap. This is very expensive. I think I paid 150 US dollars, something equal to that for this little pot. But it lasts a long time because it's only a very, very thin layer you apply. So this is maybe not for, if you don't only apply it like I do, like in a border or, you know, part of a pot, not the whole pot, then it will last for maybe 20 pots, maybe 30. So if you divide it per pot, it's only maybe $5, $10 per pot. And yeah, it is an extra cost, but the value of it, perceived value or sales value, if you're selling your pots, is much higher than that. So let's go ahead and apply it. I apply it with a brush, and I will advise you to invest in a high quality brush. I mean, now you spend that much on your gold, you can easily spend another $10 or $20 on a really high quality brush. I'm using my wheel to apply it because then it's easy to get an even layer all the way around. But just make sure that you turn it very, very slowly. Gonna open up this. And now this is a solution that it's mixed up with that is sort of toxic. So I have open windows. Maybe you want to have some mask to control your breathing for this. It's probably not healthy. So it's nothing more than that. Try and get an even layer like this. So it looks sort of funny now, of course, because it's just this brownish color. Doesn't look like gold at all, but it will. So that's it. That was the first part. And now the second one. You see, I only dipped my brush once, and that was enough for this whole surface. So it is very, very little. So that's it. And now for this one, might be a little more tricky, but gonna try anyway. So that's it. And yeah, I know it doesn't look like much now, but let's just wait and see. So here's all the pots that I intend to gold fire. It's not that many, and you would maybe argue that I should put more in my kiln not to waste all the energy, but keep in mind that this is only going up to 720 degrees, so it's a quite fast fire. It's not using so much energy. And also, the good thing is, it will cool down fast, so it should be ready by tomorrow. As you can see, it's scheduled for just 3 hours. So then it starts cooling, and by tomorrow it should be good. Good morning. Now it's time to look at the results of this final fire, the fourth fire on this experiment. So first we did the bisque fire, and then I glazed the porcelain. Then we did the pit fire, and finally we're doing the gold fire. So before we open it, what could go wrong? Well, first of all, I could have put on the gold too thin, too thick or something so it doesn't flow out and give this perfect gold, even gold shiny surface that I want. That's not so likely. I tried it a few times before, many times before actually, and I think I got the hand on that. Now, what I'm more afraid of is that maybe the pit fire that we already did and the colors that we got burned away, or they may have changed. Maybe they have changed into something better or worse. I don't know for sure because this is an experiment, but I'm hoping for the best. So, without any further ado, let's go and check out the kiln and see what it looks like. Ah, yeah, this looks really good. The gold seemed to be applied perfectly. There's some interesting surprises here. It's really hard to see, so I will take them out and cool them completely down. They're still about 50 degrees, so a little bit hot. But the pit-fired surface haven't burned away, but something strange, miraculous, and very interesting happened to the white one. You can see it when we get inside. So now I got them out on the kiln, and the first thing I can say is that the experiment was a success. It is indeed possible to not only pit fire porcelain, but also to glaze it first and then pit fire it. And it is also possible to add the gold lustre in the end. So that whole fourth stage firing is indeed possible. Is it perfect? No, but it is a step in the right direction. And as always, experiment with this. And if you are trying this out at home, then you need to think about the different variables here. Because first of all, there's the clay. I'm using Audrey Blackman, a very fine English porcelain. If you're using a different porcelain, this may come out differently. And of course, I'm also using a specific clear glaze that may also be different for you. And then, of course, the firing schedule and the way that you do your pit fire and the gold dust that you add. There are also several different versions available from different suppliers. So all these variables, of course, play in. But let's look at the results of the stuff that I did, the pots that I did with all these variables. The first one here is the one that are decorated with the light blue body stain. And it came out interesting, not that much patterns. Some of this burned off in the gold fire. Remember, there was a little more shattering here, but we still got a little bit of red tones here. Definitely have some black, and I mean, it's still interesting and more interesting than if it was just a glazed pot. And the gold, I think it came out really beautiful and does give this pot a very special shine. So all in all, I would say this is very successful. There is a few shadows. It may be difficult to see here, but I think all in all, it comes out great. I don't need the gold to be completely even like a polished gold, but this I think comes out really well. I haven't polished it yet, so I haven't applied any wax or acrylic lacquer or whatever, but in this case I'll use wax. I will show you some pictures by the end of the video where I have waxed them too. This one I also think came out really beautiful. The contrast between the gold and the black is just beautiful. And in this case, none of that black seemed to have burned off during the fire. There is a little bit of patterns in this black, so it's not completely black. There's just a little bit of patterns in it. And when I shine this up with my wax, I think they will show even more. So I like this as well. And again, the top looks good. It's a little bit of unevenness, but it's all in all fine. But now for the last one, because that surprised me a lot. Remember the white one, when we applied some ferric chloride, but when it came out of the fire, it was almost just black, but nice patterns and stuff, and I brushed it up and it looked nice, but we didn't really see that red or yellowish colors from the ferric chloride. So then we did the gold fire, and now take a look. That is surprising because somehow these colors were hiding in there somewhere. And after the gold fire, some of the black must have burned off and revealed the ferric chloride underneath. And this is really, really beautiful. I mean, this coloring here is exactly what we're looking for in Pitfire. So keep in mind that this was glaze fired first. So it was brought up to a high temperature and the clay pitfied, so the pores have been closed. So in theory, that the ferric chloride should not have been able to get into the clay. Somehow it did. But we needed that gold fire to reveal it. That is very surprising. And the gold here came out fine. There's a little bit of unevenness in it. I think maybe I should apply it a little more of a thicker layer. But I mean, if you look at it here, I think it looks great. And again, this will be even stronger when it's polished. So all in all, I hope that you enjoyed this experiment and it may inspire you to do something similar. So like a 4-stage firing where pitfire is just one element of it, where we not just take the bisque fired pot and pitfire it, but we take a step before that and glaze fire it so that we can get this layer of glaze where we can attach the gold. And then finally we do the pitfire and the gold fire at the end. It's an interesting concept. I haven't seen anyone do exactly like this before. So maybe we're opening up something completely new, and I will look forward to see what comes out of it from your hand as well. So please share that. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, share, write a comment, maybe have ideas for other variation and experiments to do. And come back again. I will have a new long form video next Sunday at 5 p.m. Central European time as usual. So until then, I hope you enjoy this summer. Have a great day.